It's easy work boxing. I'm about to hit you everywhere but under your feet with this one. If you see the videos, like, comment, and subscribe. Please subscribe. Hit the notification button so you can see whenever my videos pop up. Uh, Sorry for not posting lately. I've had a situation going on. One of my friends recently got shot. It's a long story. My mind wasn't right. But I'm here right now to make a video on the partner, Jack Johnson. I just seen Fight Hike clip with Deontay Wilder speaking at the pardon, with Trump and Sylvester Stallone. And, a lot of people who probably, like I say, I always say this, a lot of people just start watching boxing or never look into any uh, documentaries or anything about boxing. If you have, we all know who Jack Johnson is. Jack Johnson is the first black heavyweight champion of the world. And, this man had to go through a lot to get that belt. He had to travel overseas for like 2-3 years chasing the guy that had the belt. And I guess after the 2-3 years, the guy finally decided to get in the ring with him, and he lost to Jack Johnson, and Jack Johnson became the first black heavyweight champion of the world. But, during his reign as king of the ring, I should say, he had situations where he would be with white women, and he was known to tell the government and anybody around him, that no one's gonna stop him from being who he want to be, being with who he wants to be with, or nobody laying in his bed that he wants. And he walked around with white women like it wasn't nothing. And we have to remember, this was a time where people were getting hung for even looking at white women. So you have to understand that this was a man beyond a man. That's why when a lot of people go to talking about who was the greatest of all time, I give Muhammad Ali his credit. Muhammad Ali did make black people feel like they were special and important. I seen on one documentary where a guy was crying in the bathroom. He said he was crying in the bathroom because Muhammad Ali had lost. He said some guy walked in and asked him, like, I think he said a white guy, as a matter of fact, walked in and asked him, like, why are you crying? And he was like, because he made me feel special to be a black man. He made me feel good to be a black man. So I can understand why a lot of people want to go with Muhammad Ali as the greatest of all time. But to me, when it comes to being in the ring, I got to give it to Jack Johnson, because true enough, Muhammad Ali went through what he went through, what I'm saying, with the Jim Crow and, the racial conflict that was going on at the time. But you have to show Jack Johnson way more respect, because this man was fighting, I'm saying, not just to my subscribers, you white, it's not a racial thing or nothing, but at this time, this man was fighting white men and beating their ass, literally beating their ass, and being surrounded by 20,000 white people. And now, a lot of people going to be looking at it like, hey, that ain't nothing, but that's something. To go out there and still, not be nervous, not worry about what's finna happen after you whoop this man or beat his ass, and you still go out there and you do your job and you get the job done well, and you leave still with your title, and you still leave with a white woman on your arm. That's a man beyond a man to me. I ain't heard of too many out there doing that. And this whole law that was created was, to end up putting him in prison because he wouldn't stop dating white women. So this should have never happened anyway. And in fact, from what I understand, when me and my mom would talk about it, and I was watching a documentary about it, he went to a bar and he wouldn't get served. They wouldn't serve him at a bar, and he left the bar driving, speeding, and he ended up having a car accident and died in the car. So at the end of the day, racism still took this man's life. And to pardon him this far down the road still doesn't make any difference to me. This should have happened in Muhammad Ali's era, or the 70s or something right here. It's just, to me, it's total disrespect. But I still appreciate Deontay Wilder, Lennox Lewis, and even Sylvester Stallone, for even coming in and trying to make this a special day for this man's family, and especially for black Americans, because this is something that it should have never even went down like that. But I'm thankful that this man was courageous enough to go and get out there and do his thing, because he changed the ways of boxing. he changed the style of boxing. Jack Johnson was known as a slick fighter, which he learned in jail, I think, from a white fighter. To be honest with you, Jack Johnson could box, but when he was in jail with a white boxer, and the white boxer taught him how to be a slicker boxer, and he went to training on that, and that's how uh, you seen the ways of how they would say that black fighters were cowardly because black fighters wouldn't stand there anymore and just take punches after Jack Johnson. Because Jack Johnson would do what you see now, head movement, moving around the ring and using his feet. You know, I think Jack Johnson took a loss before he had went to jail, and when he met that guy showed him the ropes of what to do in the ring, and he took it to the next level. And when he got out, Jack Johnson couldn't be fucked with. That's why he literally had to chase the dude for like 2-3 years before he would even fight him. And when he came back, he got the belt. They would call him. They would love to say black fighters are cowardly, or what I'm saying, they have no spine, spineless fighters. That's what they would call them. And things like that. But it all started with Jack Johnson, y'all. So don't get mad at me when I say, to me the greatest of all time is Jack Johnson. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to stand by that to the fullest. You know what I'm saying? You can have your opinion of Muhammad Ali being the greatest of all time. Hey, that's your opinion, but in my opinion, a man who could sit up and go and whoop ass around 20,000 white people, leave with a white woman, had a mouthful of motherfucking goals. That's what if you watch documentary, they'll tell you all this. Man had a mouthful of goals, and it's like 1910, 20, somewhere in that era. And wasn't studying it. You know what I'm saying? Have balls beyond this world. You know what I'm saying? Any given time, this man could have been killed, lynched, or anything. But he stood on his 2 feet and he was a man, so I just had to get on here and I had to say something for Jack Johnson. You know what I'm saying? I thank God we had a man like that, because there's a lot of black men who are now, like Floyd Mayweather's, Nate Campbell, Sugar Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, who were able to feed their family thanks to this man's courage. So, I just had to get on here and make this video. But it's Easy Work Boxing. Thank you for your time. Like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out.